All right, what's up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast weekly real estate tip, where every single week I come to delivering different tips, tactics, and strategies that I've learned on my 20-year-long real estate journey that have allowed me to become one of the top realtors and team leaders on the planet, with selling over 7,000 homes and sharing this information with you here on the podcast in hopes that you take this information in, that you take massive action on it, and that you go out there and create that real estate business in life that you truly know that you want and deserve. All right, so today I'm here to talk to you about one of the biggest obstacles that I'm having realtors, team leaders, and broker owners reach out to me consistently each and every single week. And this has been the case for the last couple years, really since interest rates started, really spiking in middle of 2022, and it kind of changed the game. We went from this having an abundance of low-hanging fruit or just an abundance of people buying and selling to things scratching to a halt very, very quickly. All that low-hanging fruit go away. And what we saw there is a lot of the same strategies, a lot of the same lead generation, sources that we were doing previous to that we were getting good conversions. Then all of a sudden we're generating all these leads, having follow-up conversations with those same lead strategies and sources, and you're getting a lot of unmotivated people where there's just not a lot of urgency. So, and again, this is just something that started about that time around mid-2022, but is continuing to progress and continuing to get worse. And again, this is one of the, if not the biggest obstacle that I get reached out to on a weekly basis from other real estate professionals is, man, I need high quality leads. And when we say high quality leads, what we are really saying with that is, look, I need to get leads, buyers and sellers that are ready to take action, that are motivated, that are ready, willing, able, committed, motivated. They're looking to buy, they're looking to sell. They're not looky-loos. They're not on the fence. They're not waiting for, oh, I want to wait until, the presidential election. I'm going to wait until interest rates are down. So that's what we're here to talk about today. So how to get hot real estate leads that are ready to buy and sell right now, so you can get, because why do we want hot real estate leads or high quality leads, however you want to frame that, so we can go out there and get clients that we can work with right away. Leads exist so we can follow up with those leads, set those leads into appointments, so we can conduct those appointments, turn those into clients, so then we can go out there and serve, support, and help our clients get under contract, close those deals. They win by, accomplishing their real estate goals. We win by growing our business and making money and providing for our families. Okay. So I'm going to break this down with you. So by the end of this podcast, you're going to know exactly the pivots and shifts that you need to make inside your real estate business when it comes to your overall lead strategy efforts. So this is also known as new client acquisition strategies. So what do we got to do to go out there and generate new clients, new customers? And again, in order to do that, we got to make sure our lead gen strategies are in place. So there's three things that I want to cover with you before I really dive into, the in-depth here with this. So, and just things that we got to make sure that we're framing our mind around, make sure that we understand so we can make these adjustments accordingly. My goal here with the podcast here today is not just to help you right now, but if you follow what I'm going to walk you through here, doesn't matter what the market is in the future, these things are going to help you because you're going to experience a lot of different markets. Look, if you're in this for the long game, which hopefully you are, over my 20-year journey, I've seen so many different markets, the two biggest boom markets that we've seen in recorded history. I've seen, the biggest real estate market crash that we've experienced in recorded history. So in my 20-year stretch of time, two biggest booms, biggest crash that I've witnessed in America's recorded real estate history, it's been a wild ride in this 20 years. Well, I'm telling you, there's been so many damn times in my 20-year journey now where I've had to pivot on where my focus is, pivot different lead gen strategies. And these first few things, I want you to understand, okay, why this stuff is important and kind of, again, how to think about this and frame our minds. So the first thing is a personal philosophy to abide by when it comes to strategy, when it comes to business that has served me extremely, extremely well, which is the fact that there is no such thing as a good market or bad market. Like, get that crap out of your head. So it's to understand there's no such thing as a good market or a bad market. The real estate market is always good for somebody. It is your job, my job, our job as real estate professionals to pivot, shift. So first off, identify whom the market is good for, and then pivot, shift, and adapt to whom the market is good for. In an extreme seller's market like we experienced in 2020, 2021, early 2022, yeah, that was great for sellers, but it freaking sucked for buyers. Okay, then you shift into a buyer's market, declining buyer's market. Like, okay, if we look at during the great financial crisis, so let's just say the bottom of the market, 2012, homes that were 600 grand, now you could pick up for 225. Like, who was that market good for? Well, it sucked if you owned a home and you were needing to sell, but it was fantastic if you were a buyer. So again, the market is always good for somebody. So it's our job to identify whom it's good for. So I look at this always as, okay, so residential real estate, that is my product that I'm focused on. Now, some of you watch or listen to this, maybe you focus on condos, or, maybe don't. I know condos is still residential real estate, but maybe you're focusing on commercial, different niches with that. But I look at this, okay, I focus on single family detached real estate in this geographical location within my market. So my job is to know that that's the product. That's the product that I need to move and help clients acquire and sell. So I got to become an expert on the product, right? So the area, the product, all of those things. Then from there, having the understanding that who's buying it, who's selling it, why they're buying it, why they're selling it, where they're coming from, where they're going, those things are going to change. The reason why so many in this industry right now are struggling is because they haven't pivoted yet to shift who they're targeting, which I'll go deeper into this here as we dive in. But you just got to understand what worked yesterday won't always work today. What works today won't always work tomorrow. So you got to stay fluid with this and always be assessing your market, paying attention to your market, because there's always massive opportunity. Okay, so then the next component here, or the next element here, is understanding the 4 components to having success with client acquisition. Now, we're going to focus on component number 1 of this today, but there's 4 overall components. So I just want to say this, because if you dial in the component number 1, which is, okay, who we are targeting that has the highest probability of needing our services, but you miss out on these other 3, okay, you're not going to have success. You got to hone in on all 4 of these factors. So the first one is strategy, and that's what we're going to pay attention today. So this is going to be, lead gen strategy, generating these hot leads. But we got to make sure that we're nailing that. So strategy is really around making sure we are targeting the right people in the right ways with the right messaging, which we'll talk about here today and go more in depth in that. But then number 2, you also got to nail the process. So process, when I'm talking about client acquisition specifically, is then, okay, it's not enough for me to just generate that lead, right? Then from there, I got to make sure I'm following up, I'm nurturing, we got to convert those leads into appointments, right? I don't know why, but in our industry, like lead gen and lead follow-up always seem to get separated. So process, thinking about this of, okay, from the moment that I acquire this lead until they become a client, what is the exact process I need to follow to maximize lead conversions? So we can go out there and, set those appointments and have them become a client. So process is really, okay, well, how long, how frequent, and in which mediums do I need to continue follow-up to maximize those conversions? Because look, yes, there are higher quality lead sources, and yes, there are ways to go out there and target people that have a higher probability of needing our services right now. And again, we're going to talk about that here today. So yes, all of that is true. But if your follow-up protocol sucks, if you don't have the right process, the problem isn't the leads. The problem isn't the motivation of people. It's just that, your shit's not together, right? I'm trying to think of how to say that in a tactful way without being a total jerk and offending everybody. Okay, so then number 3 is then skill set. You got to make sure you got the right skill sets acquired per strategy that you must acquire to have the highest level of success with that thing. And then the last 4th component of this is making sure that you are taking the right amount of action with that thing. We just got to make sure there's a certain amount of action that it takes. I'm not going to say that real estate's just a numbers game, because it's not. It's also a strategy game. It's a process game. It's a skill set game. But if we have the strategy, process, and skill set, dialed in, then from there at 100%, then is a numbers game. We have to make sure that we're doing enough energy, effort with that thing. Let's just say you're converting at a lead source at 10%. And maybe that's a good conversion rate for that particular lead source. Well, that means that you're going to have to generate 10 leads to get to 1 closing. So we just got to deal in realities and make sure, okay, if your goal is to close 4 deals a month, okay, you got to make sure that you're generating 40 of those leads a month and doing that right amount of actions with your follow-up to get those closings that you want. I know it all sounds like common sense, but so often it's hard for us to apply common sense to our own businesses. And that's not like a stab at people. This is why I always have coaches and mentors. I got a coach and or mentor in every aspect of my life that's important to me. And why? Sometimes I'll tell people, they're like, oh, you have a business coach? I'm like, hell yeah, I got multiple business coaches. I got, health and fitness coach. I got coaches in every aspect of my life that's important to me. And sometimes that surprises people. Like when it comes to my real estate business, like, why would you need a coach? Well, I tell them that, hey, I need a coach because sometimes I can't see the obvious in my own business. When we're wrapped up in it, we get emotional, we can get straight, right? Like sometimes we just can't see the obvious. Like I want the person in this skybox that isn't emotionally attached, that can see all the players on the field, that can make sure that, I'm not missing certain things, right? Oh, okay. So then now let's dive into strategy. So now strategy, we're talking about new client acquisition strategy. Now I want to talk to you about why people buy and sell. This is really important to understand. So why do people buy and sell? So nobody goes online. And I'm not, I shouldn't want to say nobody. Maybe there's a tiny, tiny, tiny small percentage, but the vast majority, 99.9% of human beings, they do not go online and are like, oh, I wonder what's going on with interest rates today. And they see what the interest rate, okay, we're going to buy. Let's go buy today. No, like it's life situation changes that determine when people are going to buy and sell. If we just look at this, like deal in generalities, this is why people make these moves. Okay. So, like all of a sudden, boom, you get married, you decide to go out there and buy your first home. And there might be unique situations where somebody buys a home before, not unique, but you're hopefully you just understand. I'm not saying these are the only reasons, but the primary reasons, okay, like you get married or, graduate college, get your career, go out there and you buy your starter home, and then now you're married. Now you start popping out some kids. You start outgrowing that home, then boom, you go buy the next home. Then maybe you pop out another kid or two. Now you're in kind of peak income earning years. You got an established career, and then boom, you go buy your last kind of move up buy of your lifetime. At this point in time, maybe your kids are, I don't know, junior high school. You're in that 40s, early 50 range. And you buy that last move up buy. Where you finish raising out your kids, all of a sudden kids go off to college, they get their careers, they get all moved out. So now you're empty nesters. And now it's like, well, shit, we don't need all this space. So let's downsize to our next property. So then, sell that and then you go out there and downsize. Then from there, you get to a point in life where maybe no longer that you can take care of that property, or maybe you can no longer, take care of yourself. So you sell that property, move into assisted living or move in with family. And then there's detours along the way. Divorce, bankruptcy, foreclosure, those things, right? So these are like, it's life situation changes that drive people to sell. And why is this so important? Now, if you want the highest quality, meaning that, okay, the highest urgency, then you are going to target people that are in those situation changes. And especially right now, look, in 2020, 2021, really from 2012 till about middle of 2022, maybe even through, beginning of 2023, depending on what market that you were in, you could go out there and just do shit where you weren't being this strategic, where you're just, shotgunning things out there and have success. And you wouldn't have the same level of success if you were more targeted, but you could have okay success with that. Like you go out there and make six figures and have pretty decent success with that. And why? Because we had record number of human beings transacting in real estate. That was the longest bull market in recorded history, longest real estate expansion recorded history, longest economic expansion recorded history. So since 1776, that decade period of time, we've never witnessed or seen anything like it. So the probability of us experiencing that again is very, very little, if not non-existent, right? So things are much more normal now than they were then, even though things aren't really necessarily quote unquote normal now, but that last 10-year period of time was freaking nuts, right? So right now though, we got to shift from people that want to buy or sell to people that need to buy or sell. And right now, it's that much more important than previously. Now, this has always been important if you want to generate the hottest type of leads. And again, by hot, meaning that have the highest probability of taking action sooner than later inside, like with choosing you to help them go out there and buy and sell real estate. So hopefully you guys are following and that all makes sense with that. So we got to target people that need to buy and sell versus want to buy and sell, targeting people that need your services. So we got to hone those in and identify that. That's how we identify. Again, no such thing as a good market, bad market. It's always good for somebody. We got to identify whom the market is good for, pivot, shift, adapt accordingly. So that's what we're talking about here. This is what I call, and you probably heard me talk about this on the podcast before, but it's operating with a sniper scope, not a shotgun approach. I don't want to just go up there and scatter and shotgun. I want to operate like a sniper where I'm laser focused on who has the highest probability. So an example with this, and I'm not saying to do this, I'm just using this as an example. You don't have to cold call. It's not that I'm not a fan of cold calling. It works great. It works amazing. It gets results. Just not my favorite way of doing business personally. I like more inbound strategies than, outbound chase. But an example of this is, okay, I could go out there and just start picking up the phone and randomly circle prospecting everybody that lives inside the subdivision. Okay, well, especially over the last few years, we saw extremely low turnover rates, the lowest turnover rates on average in average subdivisions, meaning the amount of total rooftops versus the amount of annual homes selling. That's how you calculate turnover rate. Subdivisions that typically historically would have like 10 to 15% yearly annual turnover rates, all of a sudden are like having 5%. So, okay, before maybe you could go out there and do 1,000 dials, 100 conversations and convert a deal. Now, all of a sudden, you're having to do 2x, 3x that. So it just got to the point where the juice isn't worth the squeeze. That is a shotgun effort. Okay. A sniper effort is, okay, let me target people going through a divorce. Let me target people that are in pre-foreclosure. Let me that have the highest probability of going out there and selling. And when I say target, that's also the same. It doesn't need to be the phone, right? We'll talk about mediums. This could be mailers. This could be, online ads. We'll talk about medium here, but this is when somebody comes to me and says, oh, Josh, man, I'm doing all this lead gen. I'm doing all this lead follow-up, and I'm taking action on this, and they're taking adequate action, but they're like, man, nobody has any motivation. People are just on the sidelines. There's no motivation. There's no urgency. And if they're struggling with that, I'm like, look, you got the wrong strategy. You're targeting the wrong people. You're targeting people that want to buy and sell, not that need to buy and sell. You need to be targeting people that need to buy and sell if you are looking for high quality hot leads. And by high quality hot leads, how we all define that in our head in this industry is, okay, people that are ready to rock and roll sooner than later, right? Because at the end of the day, the vast majority of human beings are going to do some element of real estate in their lifetime, right? So we're talking about the difference of somebody that you're nurturing for 3 years versus somebody that, is ready to list with you in the next 2 weeks. So if you want that immediate business, those hot leads, the highest probability, the highest converting, we need to focus on those that need to go out there and sell. Now, there's different, deeper layers to this. So that allows us to identify who we are targeting for our ideal client. And you can start breaking this down in your own business. Okay, do I want to go after listings? Do I want to go after buyers? If you're recruiting agents out there, okay, like if you're a team leader, broker owner, all this applies to that too, right? So then from there, okay, like let's just say I'm going to target, like who's my ideal buyer client right now? And this is, I'm just going to give examples here, right? So in my market, because the unaffordability crisis that we're experiencing, okay, I'm really looking for those that have a household income of over 200 grand. So what I'm looking for based on my market right now, and again, I'm not telling you to do this, I'm using this as an example. Now, if your market's similar to mine, then yeah, this would make sense for you. Okay, but my market is declining rapidly right now. We are on full-on hardcore correction mode. I wouldn't be surprised at all if 12 months from now will be massive crash mode. But we are in like free fall right now, right? Like you got listings stacking every single day, days on market cranking up every single day, transaction volume continuing to lower, listings just sitting. Buyers are in full control. We are full on into a buyer's market. There's pockets that might still be in a seller's market, but overall, we are in a full on buyer's market. Okay, so who is a declining market best for? For buyers. Well, especially like your move-up buyers, like that situation change where they're moving up. They got a home to sell, but they're moving up, right? So then from there, now prices haven't got to where they need to be to correct the affordability crisis. Right? So then, and the reason why move-up buyers is like the best time for them to transact is a declining market, is because, okay, like let's just say they're in a, 1,600 square foot, 3-bed, 2-bath house that's worth 350 grand, 400, I call it 400 grand. But now they're moving up to a $750,000 property. And let's just say the market's declined 20%. Well, 20% off of 750 is a hell of a lot more than 20% off of 400, right? So yeah, they've lost money here, but the amount of negotiation power and that they're going to make up for that on what they're buying is exponentially more than what they're losing. So in declining markets, that's not the time to, let's say, downsize. Can't always time this out perfectly, but if you could time it out perfectly, like to be a move-up buyer, like this is the perfect climate for that. So then from there, okay, because of our price point, like I'm target, okay, household incomes 200,000 and above. My ideal buyer client are those in their between 40 and 55-year-old married couples making 200,000 plus household income. They're making the last move up purchase of their lifetime. I know the cities, I know the subdivisions, the cities, the zip codes, the subdivisions inside those cities that are most popular that they want to be in. And I know the type of property that they're looking for. They want 2,500 plus square feet, 4 plus bedroom, 3 plus bathroom, homes with swimming pools, 3-car garage, no deferred maintenance, move-in ready, and that $600,000 to $1 million price point. So then now, okay, I know who my ideal buyer client is. I know where they're coming from. So I know the top 10 states that people are reloading to my market from and the top metros within those states. I know the local areas that they're moving up from. So this allows me when I'm very specific and know who I'm targeting, for that side of my business. Now then I can start identifying, okay, well, what's the best medium? What's the best way to go out there and attack them? Is it Facebook? Is it hitting the phone? Is it open houses? Is it, and this is where so many people have such a difficult time having success with lead gen, is because they're just winging it. They're not operating this with this type of methodology, right? But what you get out of something is always equivalent to what you put into it. Okay, then on the seller side, it's like right now, I got 5 niches that we are targeting that are converting the best for new client acquisition business. So not counting sphere of influence past clients, right? We got expireds, we got FSBOs, we got absentee owners, we got pre-foreclosures, and we got people going through divorce. Those are hands down if I want urgency. So if I want to start stacking up, listing a week right now, every single week as an individual agent, or if you're a team like mine and you want to be going out there and listing, a listing a day or 2 listings a day, okay, well, we need to pivot our focus to targeting these niches. At least internally, this is what we've done to go out there and hit our listing target goals, because this is what's hands down converting the best right now in the market climate that we're in. So then now we've identified who. So this is who we're targeting. Then the next step of this is we are going to then understand the psychology per lead source. The reason why this is so important is when you understand the psychology per lead source, this allows you to identify what your messaging needs to be, what your scripting needs to be, all those follow-ups. So what it needs to be initially, but then in all those follow-up conversations, the more that you understand what's going on in their head, the more that you understand what is it they want, why they want it, what their fears are, what their, blocks are, the more that you can match your messaging. Marketing 101, if you were to go take a college course of marketing, you will learn very quickly in there that the best marketers, their message is around entering the conversation taking place in their ideal clients' minds. So like when I'm creating a Facebook ad for my buyer reloads from, let's just say, San Francisco Bay Area, I know exactly the best text, the best messaging, the best imagery to speak to my ideal buyer client. Now I can go out there and generate Facebook leads all day long for super cheap leads where I'm like, buy for cheaper than you can rent, or foreclosure ads. But then next thing you know, I'm having to sift and sort through 500 leads to generate a closing. Where if I want to get high quality leads, I'll be paying a little bit more per lead. Cost per lead with those. But then now maybe I'm converting 1 out of 30, because I'm speaking specifically to the ideal client that I want. So when I get them to opt in, we're having great effective conversations and I'm able to target the people that I want to target. So you got to make sure that you're nailing the messaging. So let's just go to, the expired or the seller side. Okay. How I speak to an expired is obviously going to be different than a FSBO. That's going to obviously be different than somebody going through a divorce. That's obviously going to be different than an absentee owner. That's obviously going to be different than a pre-foreclosure. That should be, something that makes sense to all of us. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, here's where a lot of people go wrong though, is they think that the messaging needs to shift per medium. By medium, I mean, is this going to be a mailbox? Is it going to be via the phone? Is it going to be via Facebook? Is it going to be via Google? Is it going to be via YouTube? That's just the medium. So those are just placements. That's just where you're getting their attention, where you're getting their eyeballs or their attention. Right? The messaging is going to be the same. So if I'm going after an expired, whether it be a letter campaign, whether I'm scraping that data, putting it into a Facebook custom audience and messaging them there, whether I'm getting on the phone with them and calling them, the messaging is the same, because I need to speak to this psychology. So with expired's example, I call it the triple whammy gut punch. So number one, their home just got rejected by the marketplace. That's gut punch number one. Number two, they had these real estate goals that they were really excited about. Those real estate goals became unmet. Gut punch number two. Number three, they had a real estate agent that promised them they could get the job done. That real estate agent let them down, disappointed them. Boom, gut punch number three. So I know that that's what's going on in their head right now. So what I need to articulate through my messaging is, hey, number one, you got a beautiful home. Your home is not the problem. Number two, your real estate goals can 100% still be met. Number three, the mistake that you made is unfortunately you hired the wrong real estate professional. The good news is I can get the job done. And here's how I help other homeowners that made the same mistake that you made of listing with an agent that failed them. Here's how I help my homeowners, my clients, those homeowners that their agent failed them, how I help them ensure that they have success. Now, I'm not saying it in that way, but that's what I need to get them, my messaging to convey into their mind. So whether it be through a mailer, a letter, postcard, whether it be over the phone, whether it be a cold email or an email campaign, like whatever, like the messaging doesn't matter. It doesn't change because of the medium. That you're going to pick the medium just based on how you like to grow and build your business. Do I want to go out there and cold call all day, or do I like having people come in inbound? Medium can also, make a difference on timeline, meaning mailer campaigns might take longer, nurture versus hitting the phones, so that's something that we got to take into account with that. So we got to make sure that you are nailing messaging. So right now we've broken down, okay, making sure that you're targeting the right people. Number two, that you have the right messaging that you're targeting those people. Then from there, number three, identify the medium that you're going to get your message to those people. We already talked about what medium is. Now, as I just mentioned, timeline is going to be the biggest issue here for you, right? Not biggest issue, but biggest thing that you need to take into consideration. So if I have somebody, I'm talking with, a realtor friend of mine the other day, and they're like, hey, I need like business now. Like I need to, start getting a listing a week, like immediately. I'm like, okay, mailer campaigns, then I would not recommend those. They're highly effective, but here's an example. My expired letter, I got a very, very effective, consistent expired mailer campaign that I send out that converts very high. But my average expired call off that letter campaign is after letter number 8, which is like 6.2 months post expiration. So if I need a listing by the end of this week, okay, I'm going to pick up the phones, or you can door knock too, but I'm going to pick up the phones, and if I pick up the phones and I'm aggressive on the phones in the right way with the right messaging, aggressive, not meaning aggressive with people, aggressive with, the action that we're taking, like, okay, I'm pretty much guaranteed if you give me a week, it's an impossibility you don't get a listing in a week if you're talking to the right people with the right action, with the right messaging, with the right process, right? So that's what I mean by timeline. Like, do you need to scale your business today? Or can we wait 6 months? Yeah, right. Prospecting based mediums are always going to lead to quicker now immediate business than, inbound mediums, right? So we got to identify those mediums. So those are really the three main components when it comes to client acquisition strategy that we must nail to go out there and get high quality, hot leads and get more of them than we can possibly handle. Targeting the right people with the right messaging, with the right medium based on, what your timeline is. Now, just remember right there, we just talked about client acquisition strategy, right? That's the front end, right? That's to go out there and generate those leads and to get the, just abundance of leads, more leads than you can handle coming in. But if you don't nail the full 4 components of client acquisition, and just as a reminder, we got strategy as number 1, which we already talked about. Then the second element is process. So you got to make sure that you have the right follow-up protocol, long enough time period, with enough frequency, in the right mediums to maximize conversions. Then you got to make sure that you've acquired the right skill set. So what do I mean by skill set? Okay, let's just say you're doing Facebook ads. Okay, well, obviously you got to develop a skill set to run the ads. Like, look, I'll just save you the pain. I've hired, a dozen different agencies to run my ads for me. I've fired every single one of them. To the point, I went out there and hired firms that cost me 10 G's a month. Now, they didn't count ad spend. We're the best of the best. We work with the, whatever. Like, I've hired, everything from the $500 a month to the $10,000 a month, everything in between. And I've never found one that's worth the shit. So you're going to have to learn if you want to get very good at paid Facebook ads. Okay. You're going to have to learn on yourself on your own. Now, the cool thing is that's like 2 hours on a Sunday. It's so damn easy. But you're going to have to learn, copywriting. You're going to have to learn, okay, well, how do I write the ads? How do I structure the ads? You're going to have to, learn to build out the funnels, and you're going to have to make sure, your CRM is set up correctly, with the right, nurture campaigns, all of that stuff. You got to develop that skill set, for that thing. Okay. If I'm cold calling, okay, well, I'm going to have to develop the skill set of pre-framing, of tonality, of pacing, my ability to identify and get that, understand the psychology so we understand the messaging, but then how do I put that into scripting where I can have that effective, highly effective conversation with them? Okay, let's just say you're getting the mailer campaigns. Okay, you're going to have to, master and develop the skill set of, okay, what's the right frequency of the mailer? What's the messaging? Let's just say I'm sending out letters. Okay, well, I got to make sure to develop the skill set. Well, I know, how do I get this envelope opened? Okay, then from there, okay, the headline, how do we grab their attention so they'll then read line number one? Line number one exists, so they'll read line number two. Line number two exists, so they'll read line number three. Line number three exists, so then boom, they eventually get to the call to action. The call to action exists, so they can take the call to action. Like, you got to go out there and learn that skill set, right? So it's going to be different for each of us based on who we're targeting in that medium. But that's where skill set is so important, and it's so easy to it's like fishing with dynamite. Our industry is filled with an abundance of amateurs that will never take the time to do this stuff. It is so we're in a competitive industry when you look at number of licensees. But I'm telling you guys, when you commit to this stuff, it is like fishing with fucking dynamite. It is so damn easy out there because 90%, 95% or more of our industry will never master this shit. I can't tell you how many realtors I talk to that have been doing this 20 years, 30 years that haven't mastered even client acquisition, which is like the first thing they should master in their business. Like they just repeated the same mediocre year for 30 years straight and somehow just figured out how to survive, but they've never actually thrived. They never actually created a successful business. They never actually created a successful life, for this. They're just struggling after 30 years straight, or 20 years straight, or 10 years straight, or even, if you're not kicking ass after, 12 months in this industry, okay, we got to reassess this stuff, right? I'm not saying this to be a jerk. I'm saying this because look, if that is you and you're in that situation, this is resistance that you're choosing to experience because you're choosing to not focus your time and energy on learning the right skill sets and mastering the things that you got to master to take your business to the next level. Your business is only going to grow if you grow first. You got to grow and expand into understanding this stuff and having this knowledge base so you can execute on a higher level. And then the last element, number 4 here, of the 4 elements to successful client acquisition is you got to make sure that you're taking enough action. So let's just say, okay, I'm doing a mailer campaign, and maybe my mailer campaign is converting 1 out of 200 letters sent. Okay, well, if I want to go out there and, list 4 homes a month, well, then I got to make sure that I'm at least sending out 800 letters on that mailer campaign on a monthly basis, right? We're taking enough action. If I want to go out there and list a listing a week and I'm going after absentee owners, I'm hitting the phones, I know I got to do 500 dials and have 50 conversations per week, based on our current conversion rates. That has to take place each and every week. So that's going to be 100 dials, 10 conversations per day, Monday through Friday. If I'm using a dialer, okay, that's 2 hours every day to hit that number to go out there and get a listing a week. Now, 2 hours a day is pretty easy, to go out there and be making 40, 50, 60 grand a month. I don't know any other industry that we can go out there and do that. But we got to make sure that we are taking enough action with that. All right. So this is how you go out there. And I know that this is maybe what you were expecting. You're probably expecting me just to tell you, oh, what lead source? Look, they're all good. Everything works. Nothing doesn't. If you're not getting results with it, it's because you aren't applying the right strategy to it. Because most people just think of lead gen as the medium. No, man, the medium is just a delivery vehicle. It's all the other things that have to come together because all the different delivery vehicles work. Again, whether it's the mailbox, whether it's, Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Google, whether it's YouTube, whether it's the phone, whether it's cold, it all works, right? But the medium is just where messaging is showing up to whom we are targeting. Now we got to make sure it's the right medium for those people. Like maybe I'm running TikTok ads all damn day long, but maybe my ideal client isn't on TikTok, which most of my ideal clients aren't, because I'm targeting 40 to 55-year-old, married couples for my real estate business right now. Most of them are not spending time on TikTok. So, we got to also make sure that the eyeballs are where that medium is, if we're doing marketing. So it's putting all this stuff together and piecing this stuff together. Now, if you are struggling with this stuff and you're like, man, I really just want you, Josh, to tell me exactly what to do for my business, for my situation. Okay, if that is you, I'm happy to jump on a 60-minute Zoom coaching call, free, 100% free coaching call with you, where you and I will jump together on Zoom and break down your business, where your business is currently at, what your 12-month goals are, long-term goals are, what you're currently doing, what your biggest obstacles are, what's going on in your market. From there, I'll just tell you and give you, okay, based on everything that you share with me, your strengths and whatever your goals are, based on all that information that you just shared with me, I'll spend that rest of that time on that call with you, walk you through, here's exactly what I recommend that you do to get from where you're at to where you want to go in the quickest, most effective, efficient, profitable manner. Now, it doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you're brand new, been doing this 30 years, whether you're an individual agent, team leader, broker owner. I've coached and mentored over 5,000 agents, team leaders, and broker owners from all over the place. I promise you I can get you dialed in, and we'll get you dialed in under 60 minutes. So this way we'll remove the guesswork, so you'll know exactly what to go out there and do without any confusion, and you'll know what to really hone in on and focus, and then then you'll know also what not to allow to distract you. So that's something you want to take advantage of. Again, 100% free, no strings attached. Go to www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. Just one quick thing, or two quick things. There's going to be a series of questions. Complete that when you book the call, because it's going to help me prep for the call, because I'm going to ask you about goals and your obstacles. And the more intel that you provide me before we meet, the more that I'm able to be prepped for our call. Number two, as soon as you book that, you're going to land on it's just a super quick video, but it's just some important information that's going to help you prep to get the most out of this time together. And then the third thing is make sure that you show up. I offer these for free. I'm here to pour into you. I'm here to help you. I got your back. I got you covered. I will help you get dialed in. We will get your business turnaround dialed in. I respect you. I respect your time. I just ask that you respect me and my time. It blows my mind, the people that just end up no-showing, consistently. I'm like, man, shit, you've only done one deal in 12 months. This was just one that happened to me yesterday. They did one deal in 12 months. And I think their goal was, go out there and close 30 in the next 12 months. And I'm like, okay, I know exactly what to do to get you there. But they booked the appointment and then they just no-showed me. Didn't reschedule, didn't let me know ahead of time. They just no-showed me. So then I'm like, well, no wonder, dude. You can't even show up. Someone's offering you help. Now, if anybody no-shows me, you get a special tag in my system, and then I'm not going to help you going forward, right? If you can't respect my time and no-show me and you disrespect me in my time like that, I wish you the best, but I'm not going to give you any more of my time. You already, showed me your character and don't deserve my time, going forward of that. And that also includes, there's a reschedule link on there. But if you reschedule, I don't know, this happens sometimes, 5 minutes before the call. Oh, client. For the reason that they tell me. Okay, you knew way more than 5 minutes. I consider, if you reschedule within less than an hour before, I consider that a no-show. And the reason why I just want to make sure you have awareness of that is, just in case it helps, because I don't want you to not be able to take advantage of these future calls. So book it, schedule it, make sure to show up, and we will get you dialed in. All right. Truly appreciate all of you. Keep crushing it, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.